Good morning, viewers. We have another one. Looks like it's going to be a long one, or at least the story is going to be a bit long. That's what I think. It's a 2003 Jaguar X-Type with a V6 engine, 3.2 or something liters, I believe. You can see on the dashboard the engine is running. Check engine light is on, ABS light is on, oil pressure switch light is on, wiper washer fluid light is on. Man, it has a number of issues. The parking brake light is on, but it's working properly. If I disengage the parking brake, you see that one goes out. And it's been here a few days ago. Some found one of the injectors was open, the injector was changed, but now the customer says when it's going uphill, it tends to jack a little bit. So that's what I'm going to investigate right now, plus the ABS and hopefully the oil pressure switch light. That's where I'm going with this now. I've just booted my computer up. Let me get the software running and see what I can find. Okay, it has a number of fault codes, 12 actually, but the majority of them are about cylinder misfire. It has a PO300, that's random misfire, saying it's misfiring on all the cylinders almost, and then you can see individual cylinder misfire codes for cylinder 4 and 2. Cylinder 4 and 2 are showing up a little bit more, and then it's complaining about the catalytic system efficiency below threshold, so I have to look at the oxygen sensors for that. And also basically talking about misfires, and finally it talks about misfires, catalytic system, and finally it talks about the electronic throttle motor data, something like that. I'm going to turn the engine on and try to look at the data and see. Okay, I also decided to pass by the ABS module and see what the story is with it. And it says the other codes are a bit funny, code 0, so I'll ignore them, but it says front passenger seat track position switch, short open to ground. Short or open to ground. Okay. We shall investigate that first, but remember this vehicle has been to so many garages. I'm actually tempted to save this code and erase these codes and see if the light goes out. If it doesn't, if the code comes right back, then we shall deal with this issue later. Right now I want to deal with the engine problems first. Let me erase them and see. They come right back. So the C202 is a hard fault, so we shall have to deal with it to take the check engine light off. Right. My next step is, because I couldn't read engine data in OEM Jaguar software, I'm going to try OBD2. I'm going to try OBD2 generic software and see what the story is with this, because I felt it misfire. It's kind of reduced now, but at the beginning when I just started running the engine, it seemed to misfire a bit. So I want to use OBD2 software now. Okay, it says total number of port codes is 0 right now, just because I erased them. There were so many I couldn't make head and tail of them. I just wrote them down, and I decided to erase them, and then I deal with those that come back directly, instead of trying to troubleshoot like 12 port codes at the same time. I know some of them, the majority, could be related, but right now what I want to do is to go and look at real-time data here. I want to look at US system status 1, status 2, engine coolant temperature. Fine, that's okay. Short term, long term, bank 1, same for bank 2. Maybe the map sensor, engine speed, ignition timing advance for cylinder 1. There's a lot, because it was any of these could point me to the reason for the misfire. So initially I'm trying to look at as much data as I can, even the map sensor, the TPS, position of oxygen. No, I don't need that. I'll leave it in there, but I didn't need it. Oxygen sensor bank 1. This one too, that one. Oh, it has wideband oxygen sensors in the front upstream. So initially I want to look at this in, let's see, and this in list mode. Okay, we can see the fuel trims, especially for bank 2, is extremely rich. Bank 1 is lean. Now that's a mismatch, and quite interesting. The map sensor, let me try to see if it's responding. See that there? I don't seem to see. Oh yeah, it's responding, only the data is a bit slow in coming up. Right, map sensor seems to be working. Ignition advance. Just 2 degrees. I'll ignore that for now. Intake air temperature 43, that's reasonable. Engine has been running. Map sensor 3.5 grams per second. Now I understand this is a 2-liter engine. That map sensor reading is a bit higher than I would expect on a 2-liter. It's a V6, but a 2-liter engine, and absolute throttle position. I want to see how that responds. I know my data is okay. That does respond, and Let's see. Oxygen sensors, I want to see them switching. Bank 1 is saying it's running rich. Bank 2, no, bank 1 is running lean. Bank 2 is a little. I'm trying to look at to see. Now I have to get rid of a lot of this other static data that I don't need, and then look at these oxygen sensors and fuel trims carefully, because I have a feeling the catalytic converter may not be very good, because I don't like to see changes. I like to see the oxygen sensors, the downstream one, showing a little bit rich and not switching, not following the front sensors. But from what I can see, I see activity on the two rear oxygen sensors, especially the one for bank 2. The one for bank 1 is not playing around a lot, but it's showing it's running lean. That bank is running lean, and right. According to the wideband sensors at the front, the upstream sensors are wideband, and it looks like they are also reporting rich. Both of them seem to be reporting rich. Okay, I'm going to weed out some of this data and bring you back to the screen when I have reasonable screen update speed. Okay. I've just been looking, having a long look at these fuel trim figures here. You see bank 2 is running rich. This one says it's running lean, and the oxygen sensors, the rear oxygen sensors, at times they see now they are playing around, they are moving up and down. They are now reading lean. A moment ago they are reading rich. I think those sensors are working, but what they are showing is that the catalytic converter, see, this one has gone rich now, that one is climbing up too. The story with that would be that the catalytic converter is not doing its job. I don't know if the problem is with it or the problem is in front of it, but that I should be at idle. I should be reading over 0.5 volts, I think, and the maps sensor data, I'm not happy with that. Now, if we go up the look at the fuel trim, especially this one, the long-term fuel trim for bank 2, you see that it kind of tries to normalize. It's still a bit rich, but with higher RPMs I'm at about 2000 now, 2000 RPM. You see that's correcting. So I believe that would point to either mass airflow, dirty mass airflow issues, or there is a fueling problem. There is a problem with regulation of fuel pressure. For now, that's what I can think of. This one stays rich, rather lean all the time. The fuel trims remain lean almost all the time. So, but they are not overly lean, and I can see they are cancelled out by the mild rich short-term trims, so I'm not worried so much about bank 1. I'm more worried about bank 2, and I think the oxygen sensor for that, the front wideband air fuel ratio sensor is kind of wonky on that bank. Right now I'm believing the rear O2 sensors, what they are showing me, that they are now running rich. Both banks are running rich. Bank 2 running rich now. They have now both gone lean. I think we should go slow on these wideband oxygen sensors as well. Although I believe one of them is not saying the right thing. I believe the mass airflow is dirty at this stage. If we had the mass airflow I could believe in, and this continued, I would now worry about the oxygen sensor on the wide range lambda sensor on bank 1 especially. It's not completely kaput, especially seeing that they go up and down almost at the same time. This one goes fast and then followed by bank 1 usually. My refresh speeds on the screen are not the greatest, and the ECM has been kicking me out a lot, especially whenever I turn the cooling fan on, engine cooling fan on. It has been kicking me out. I've just got a break where it's not kicking me out for about 5 minutes now, so I can try to make sense of this. If see that minus 17, if we at higher RPMs it improves a bit. This almost doesn't change. So bank 1 is a bit lean. Maybe it has a lean, maybe it has a vacuum leak or whatever. We can investigate that later. But bank 2, I'm trying to focus on bank 2 right now. It looks like I'm not happy with this wide range oxygen sensor on bank 2. I'm going to try another scan tool that can give me more meaningful data than what this one is giving me for this case. Okay, I decided to change scan tools, and right now I'm trying to rule out that we are not being tripped by variable camshaft timing system. This is the duty cycle on it. At higher RPMs, the duty cycle should increase, and we should see this going on as confirmation that they're actually being actuated. Also, at the same time, I'm looking at the mass airflow voltage. You can see these have gone on with increase in duty cycle. So that system is working. The mass airflow, the voltage, I'm not so sure if it is too low, but the computer's interpretation of that volume is what I'm going to look at right now. Now with this scan tool, it looks like the MAF sensor interpretation of the ECM is almost spot on. I would agree with that. And if we do rev it up, yeah, you can see they are matching, but I wonder why the other scan tool was giving me much higher figures than I'm seeing now. This is more agreeable to me. But remember, on the other scan tool I was using generic OBD2 data. Maybe that's where the problem was. But this is OEM, Jaguar OEM software, so maybe that's what's making the difference. So I'll move away from suspecting the massive upload at this point and look at other things. Because the injectors were one of the injectors was changed. I think it was the injector on cylinder number 6 was changed on this engine. I decided to pass by the injector data as well, but I'm seeing they are all off. I wonder why that is. It doesn't matter. Oh, okay. There is some activity. I think it is oh, I think I know why. I think it's these injectors are off most of the time, and the data refresh on this computer cannot catch them all when they are going on and off. So once in a while you see one reading on, another reading off, but when I step on the accelerator you see more, because the injector pulse width increases, you see more on off activity. So I think that's good. I think it's firing all the injectors fine, although I'll have to go to the engine itself and current ramp them. I think if things get really out of hand from this end and the misfire doesn't disappear. Okay, now that I can graph the rear oxygen, the two rear oxygen sensors, I can tell you at idle, these things don't look. The sensors are good, but the data they are giving me just tells me there is something wrong with the catalytic converter. Catalytic converter, both of them, because this engine has 2 banks, so both catalytic converters no good. And I'm not sure, that could be on some of these cars, because of the computer looks at the rear oxygen sensors as well to make decisions on the fuel trims. I'm not very confident about interpreting fuel trim data. I'm just going to have a closer look at the front lattice wide range oxygen sensors and try to interpret what they are telling me, but I'm now very cautious about reading so much into oxygen, rather pure trims. And you can see these oxygen sensors are doing similar behavior. Something must have wrecked with catalytic converters on this vehicle. So I'm now looking at the current for the oxygen, for the front wideband oxygen sensors. Ideally, we should have something like this. This was me a while back, revving it up a bit, but the rear the front oxygen sensor on bank 2, just like I suspected earlier, is playing around a lot, while this first one is the one on bank 1 is giving us a straight line. And remember, we are having excessively negative fuel trims on bank 2, and I'm just feeling a few misfires right now. If you see, this thing went a bit, you see when it played up here and there, I felt misfires. In fact, I can still feel them. Unfortunately, because the misfires are affecting the RPMs, I think that's why this other one is also playing up. But I'm going to rev it up a bit you can see this signal is dirtier than this one. This is what I want to see on a wideband oxygen sensor. This scan tool just happened to give me better, to present this data better than the earlier one. Okay, they are all doing almost what they should be doing when I'm revving it up, but you can see again this one has exaggerated activity where this one doesn't. To me this looks like a good one, this looks like a bad one. Bank to wideband oxygen sensor, looking suspect at this moment. It's playing around too much more than the yellow one, than the bank one oxygen sensor. And every time it does that excessive play, do you notice that that activity there? I feel misfires. I'm actually feeling misfires now, but that could be somewhere else. That could be, I think, let's go a bit slow on this one. Maybe there is a leaking fuel injector on this bank. I think that's what we need to investigate next. The injector that was, I'm going to find out the injector that was replaced on this bank, on this engine, which bank was it and which injector was it. And I think I may go after the injectors on bank 2. Is the have to be careful here. The oxygen sensor, the wideband oxygen sensor, may actually be reporting what it's seeing. That activity could be due to an injector leaking fuel on bank 2. Have to be careful here. I can see all the coils are firing. I'm actually on cylinder number 2 right now, and they are all looking similar. All the coils are looking similar. I'm not going so much into the detail at this moment, in the detail of the waveform, because my oscilloscope has limited ability to clean up the waveform, but at least I can see I have spark happening on all the cylinders. It's just hiding there. It's just because of the timing, but the waveform is there. If I widen the time base, you can see it better. You might even actually see 2 of them at the same time. Yeah, see, you can see 2 of them at the same time now, but you are losing a bit of detail when you do that. So if I use 10 microsecond, millisecond time base, it keeps moving around like that, and I can see it there, and they're all looking, all 6 are looking similar. So for now, I'm going to go away from the ignition coils for now. I may come back to them later. And also, I don't know if you can pick up, once in a while there is a kind of poop poop sound. Could be a misfire. It could be a misfire or a backfire on this engine. It has decided to play up, but I'm sure when it's gone. You had it again. That could be an issue that is pointing us toward the is confirming a misfire actually. Okay, I'm now looking at the upstream oxygen sensor or air fuel ratio sensors for both banks, and I'm looking at their equivalence ratios now. Ideally, I think 1 is ideal for any air fuel ratio sensor. The ideal value for that should be 1, and I see these two sensors are sticking pretty much to that, with the exception, of course, that the bank 2 sensor seems to drift a little more than the front one, as you can see, but they are hanging right around the 1.00 figure. Now, this is an indication that these sensors are quite okay. So whatever is causing that misfire or backfire that you can hear and which I can feel from here, that comes and goes, I think is common to both banks. If I haven't dug out the injectors to test them, because with this kind of data that I'm seeing on the screen, if there was an injector that had a problem, would clearly see it, especially between banks. We'd clearly see it. I know the fuel trim for one bank is negative, excessively negative. The other fuel trim for the other bank is excessively positive. But I'm thinking I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I might end up having to really take those injectors out. But where they are, you can actually see them visually, but connecting them to test them, to take their control wires with an oscilloscope is going to be a pain because of the way the connectors are oriented under the intake manifold. I don't really want to go there. I'm trying to stay away from digging the injectors out. But from what I can see, oh, actually, do you see that? There was a dip here where both sensors showed 0.82 and the other showed 0.86. Generally, these graphs are looking similar, the two of them. I think whatever is affecting the oxygen sensor readings is affecting both banks equally at this point, because they seem to be responding more or less like mirror images of each other. Not exactly, but kind of the same. Obviously, one is always more exaggerated than the other. I think that problem would be more towards that bank 2, whatever is causing this. If it's I'm wondering if it could be if it was a vacuum leak on bank 1 leading to positive fuel trims, why would bank 2 go excessively negative? I think at this point I've ruled out the mass airflow being the problem. Could this vehicle's problems be plugs? If there were plugs and they all went bad, if they have been on the vehicle for the same for the same length of time, working on the same engine, they will probably all go bad at the same time. I don't know. Okay. What I've done is to temporarily force the ECM to push the fuel trims positive. I intended to do it for bank 2 only, but unfortunately the move I pulled has done the same for bank 1 as well. You can see it is still learning. What I did was create a small vacuum leak here behind the rotor going into the manifold. I created a small vacuum leak there. You can feel the misfires, and bank 2 has corrected to -9 now, and bank 1 to 20%. I think that just proves that both oxygen sensors are working properly. And I think my next move now to rule out injector issues, because I can't, well, it's difficult for me to look at the injector waveforms from the engine control module, rather from the intake manifold, from under the intake manifold. I had this plan of unplugging the injectors one by one, but even that is going to prove to be a little bit difficult, again because of the way the injector connectors are oriented under the manifold. You can see the computer is still learning the fuel trims. That was I made that move just to rule out the oxygen sensor. I'm going to, it is still learning, you can see it is still learning. What I'm going to do now is close off the vacuum leak, and you see that these fuel trims will correct back to 0, and these will go down to -18 wherever they were. I've sealed it off, and the fuel trims should now be, actually the misfires have kind of gone away now, but this fuel trim, this one should go back down to 0, and this one should go back to -18. But the one thing I've noticed now is the misfires have gone. The misfires have gone, and I'm going to keep watching this and see when the misfires start, what fuel trim on the bank 2, how negative will it be. Around -12, it has started again, it has started misfiring. I'm going to do this over and over again until I'm sure. This would kind of now point me towards, if this is right, this would point me towards a leaking injector. One injector could be leaking on bank 2. Well, I just had a thought and decided to look at the map sensor signal data as seen by the engine computer, or as shared by the engine control module, and it looked a bit high to me initially. It was reading 40 kPa on a naturally aspirated engine. I would expect usually below 35 kPa, but the more interesting thing is when the misfires become very pronounced, I'm waiting to show it to you here on the screen. You see the map sensor signal go high. I've seen it go as high as 47 kPa. At one point it was averaging about 45. See that? It's gone up to 44 and it's misfiring now. I don't know if you can hear it. The misfires are a little more intense right now. And the engine speeds are holding rather steady. Well, I have to validate that by going back and bringing the engine speed data as well, but you can see the map sensor just read 47 kPa there for a moment. So these misfires are indicating, every time these misfires are happening, there is an indication of loss of vacuum. I need to work out the implications of that. Okay, I'm now comparing the engine speed to the map sensor signal. What I'm really trying to do here is try to see if there is any relationship between the misfires. I've seen there is between the misfires and the engine speed. I've seen there is some kind of relationship between the misfires and the increased map signal reading. It is misfiring now. You see it just gone to 47 kPa, and you saw the speed also, the engine speed also jumped up a bit. It has done that again. Not as intense as the earlier one. It has just done it again. It's actually gone up to 51 kPa at some point. Now I'm beginning to think why is there a mismatch between between banks? If this problem is earlier, I thought it was the problem was whatever was affecting the fuel, the oxygen sensors was before the oxygen sensors. Whatever is affecting the trims, at least if they are being compared against the oxygen sensors, if the computer is using the oxygen sensors to adjust the fuel trims, there must be the oxygen sensors seem to be behaving in a similar way. So whatever is affecting them would then be affecting both banks equally. But remember, one bank is rich, the other is lean. So maybe the condition is on one bank. We could actually have a lean condition on one bank, something causing a lean condition on one bank, and something else causing a rich condition on the other bank. I'm getting tongue-tied here. I'm trying to think a lot. I'm trying to share this with you as so I'm talking while I'm actually thinking a lot about this. That's why I'm getting tongue-tied a bit. And even the camera shot, I've just realized is not that steady. this is going to turn into a long video. Okay, this one hasn't been easy. I've been burnt. My arms have been burnt. I'm trying to get into. That's the. You can see the injectors under the fuel rail, under the intake manifold of the engine in the V valley of the engine. I couldn't get to. If you look at the connectors from the injectors, I couldn't really get to them and keep the manifold on the engine at the same time. I can see them, I can see the wires, but I couldn't pin into them. So I bit the bullet and went under the throttle. You can see, I don't know how well you can see where I've been. I don't know if you can see my crocodile clips. I'm on the final wire that I've been testing, which is the power supply to the injectors, and I think you can hear every time the engine is loaded. Like right now, the engine cooling fans that have just come on, and you can hear the misfiring increasing. You can hear, I'm sure you can hear that clearly. The fans have just gone off and the misfires have also let off a bit. Anyway, that is my wiring with the oscilloscope. And here in the screen, you can see the final. That's the final wire. That's the supply to all the injectors. The reason why I'm pinning on this is to make sure I don't have any, because this is feedback voltages, spikes from the injectors firing and closing, and the only wire where I could parade and see all of them at the same time was the power supply. So that's why I'm pinned there right now, just to be sure that when the misfiring kind of is amplified or it happens, I don't see injectors falling out. Unfortunately, I couldn't show you everything. It took a long time. I had to, like I said, I got burned in several places because I had to run the engine and test one injector, then turn it off, pin on to the next one. It would take me 5 minutes spinning on to the next one. You can see it's now misfiring, but you can see all the injectors are still firing. That is at a time base of about 500 microseconds, which is half a second. So I can see if there is any temporary injector, fallout. So I don't know any better term to use to call that, to describe what I'm trying to get to. But what I wanted to do is to make sure none of the injectors is sleeping on the job and therefore leading to these misfires. I'm trying to rule out the injectors being the cause of these misfires. Anyway, as I said, I couldn't show you everything as I was working. It was murder. But I did save screenshots of what I did, and I'm going to show you. What I did. This was the injector number 1, I believe, which is the one I did last, and you can see it has got a reasonable pinto hump, so I don't think that's leaking. And Let's move up. Now this one was injector number, the other one was 1, so this was number 3, I believe. The pinto hump this time is not very pronounced, but I think you can see it. There is a bit of a hump. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see this better. The document is working on me. Anyway, I have to scroll up slowly again to catch this. That was number 1. You can see the hump. Not very clear, but it's there. Number 3. Number 3 looks a bit weak. Looks a bit weak, but right around here looks like a little hump. I'm not very sure. Looks like a little hump. Then we go to number, this one here has a hump. You can see that. This is number 5. And then we go to the even ones. Number 6. You can see it's got a hump there. And this is number 4. A wee bit of a hump, but it's there, right here. And this is number 2. That clearly had a hump. And then this was number 2 again, but that's before I changed the time base, and I did it again because I needed to see the hump better. So as you can see, number 3, I think I'm more worried about number 3. The humps didn't look very clear, but I think I could see them. That's number 4. The hump is there-ish, but you can see right here. I think that's a hump. And this is number 6, I think. Clearly has a hump. Then 5, hump with some hash on it. It is number 3 which looks the weakest mechanically, as you can see. But I think the hump is there ish. It's yeah, I think the hump is there. So it's a bit weak, but it is there. So I'm ruling out the injectors really being the cause of this. If it comes to a head, we may have to take them out and test them for spray patterns and all that, but I really needed to get this out of the way to have a look at. Right now I'm tending towards this being a mechanical issue with the valves not sitting properly, especially when the engine is under load, as you can hear when the fans run.